Have you ever just been in a mud fight? Or have you ever just slung some mud at somebody, like a snowball, but instead it's mud? I'm thinking of like the Tough Mudder. The Tough Mudder. You ever looked at the pictures of the Tough Mudder, man? Those people are crazy. I've never done Tough Mudder. I know people that have done a Tough Mudder. But I'm like, it looks like they're like slopping in the mud. They look like pigs. And they're doing this incredible challenge. And the mud is flying everywhere. And I think sometimes they get throwing the mud at each other. It's crazy. It's just absolutely crazy. And that's what we see in today's miracle in 1776 is the mud. That's all it. Yeah. I mean, what God was doing with mud is pretty wild when you unpack this. Hey, welcome back to Luso, a show about our great country and the God stories from the American Revolution, 1776. In case you're wondering, I have met people that are like, wait, when was the American Revolution? Was that before or after the Civil War? So we're just here talking about what God was doing back in 1776 and why we had this great country. And we're drinking coffee while we're at it. Although sometimes I get talking so much I can't drink coffee. So I'm going to take a sip right now. We're just here sipping it. Well, if you haven't been paying attention to anything that's going on in our nation, we are about to celebrate our nation's 250th anniversary. So that's why we got a cake right here. And every now and then I just like to taste that thing and just make sure it's still good. Because we have been waiting to cut the cake until we're waiting. We're waiting until it's July 4, 2026. Because that's, 250 years. Right. Yep. Cake's still good. So, let me wash some down. Hollywood is not talking about anything. If you look at Hollywood, they release movies that, came out 50 years ago. They do a whole celebratory, hey, this was, Jaws or Back to the Future or whatever, right? For whatever reason, they're not taking time to invest some money into some of the incredible stories from the American Revolution. I'm just saying, yeah, you've heard me say it before on our show, but this is a great book, 1776. I encourage you to go buy it. That's award-winning. And HBO's had the license, the film rights for over 20 years. Tom Hanks involved. There's another one, Bunker Hill. It's another great one. Film rights has been in Warner Brothers' hands for over 10 years, 15 years, something like that. But hey, I wrote a book about my ancestor, Luso, which simply means a person of Portuguese descent. But in my book, we talk about he's the badass warrior from the American Revolution. And this will make a great movie. I'm just saying. We've had this in front of Tom Hanks' company, Playtone, Steven Spielberg's company, Amblin Entertainment. They've all looked at it. For some reason, I don't know why, but Hollywood doesn't want to talk about 1776 and our founding fathers. I don't know. I mean, you can come up with your own speculation. But hey, since they're not talking about it, we're talking about it. I'm just saying, that's what we're doing. We're just kind of unpacking what was going on in 1776. So, have you ever just been in a mud fight? I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. Have you ever just slung some mud at somebody, like a snowball, but instead it's mud? I'm thinking of like the Tough Mudder. The Tough Mudder. You ever looked at the pictures of the Tough Mudder, man? Those people are crazy. I've never done Tough Mudder. I know people that have done a Tough Mudder. But I'm like, it looks like they're like slopping in the mud. They look like pigs. And they're doing this incredible challenge. And the mud is flying everywhere. And I think sometimes they get throwing the mud at each other. It's crazy. It's just absolutely crazy. The Tough Mudders they're wild. Like, you got to be an intense little, like, not right in the head or something. I don't know. I know, like I said, I know people, nothing against y'all. Like, I think it's awesome that you do it. I think it's really cool. It's a good challenge. But the mud is something like mud is a God-made thing, right? It's dirt with water mixed together, but it's something that God made, the dirt and the water, right? So we put it together, you got mud, right? We know that. And that's what we see in today's miracle in 1776 is the mud. That's all it. Yeah. I mean, what God was doing with mud is pretty wild when you unpack this. And again, I'm trying to stick chronologically. So here we are now in 1777. If you're following the shows and just as I'm unpacking what God was up to, and by the fall of 1777, we see that the British and the Continental Army, they're fighting up in New York, northern New York. So not like Manhattan. We were a few episodes ago, we were in the Manhattan, area. New York City is what we call that today. But that's not where we are today. Today, we're northern up in North New York. Upstate is what we call that. And here we have the British in the fall time, September, October of 1777. The British are up in Canada, and there have been some wars up there, some battles, and so the British are thinking they're just going to come down and just trap, out of nowhere, they're going to come down and trap the Continental Army, demolish them right then and there. That'll be done, and they'll all just sail back and get this rebellion squelched and be done with it, right? That's what they're thinking. But God had us another plan. If you go look at the history here, as the British are coming down, they're coming through the terrain, and obviously they're weaving through, the wilderness, just the wild, wild wilderness of that day. Again, we're not in Manhattan or New York City. Certainly nothing like that. And so they're going through just the wilderness, and the Continental Army has the high ground. So they're up on some of the hills, and they're encamping in areas where they know the British are coming through. And a torrential rain comes, and it just incessant rain comes and continues to come. And it is just pounding. Go look this up. It's crazy. It's wild. There's no way to explain it. So here the British are thinking they're going to surprise and attack and trap them and just annihilate them. And this is the Battle of Saratoga. So if you are in the American Revolution, you know a bit about the Battle of Saratoga. And that was a critical, pivotal moment in the American Revolution. Very pivotal. Because, I think I've mentioned this before in our shows, George Washington has been losing every battle. Like, he had more losses. If you look at the entire American Revolution, he had more losses than he had wins. Like, that is not the winning general that we talk about. That's, today, George Washington, first president of the United States and all that. He was a loser. Let's just say that. Like, in all respect, he was not a winning coach. If you think of like NFL coaches or college football coaches, they get fired when they're losing. They get fired, right? We all know that. That's, we see that happen regularly, But here, George Washington, like, he is the only general that's willing to take up a ragtag farmer group of army guys, teenagers, and go into battle. And he keeps losing, and he keeps losing, and he keeps losing. And here at Saratoga, it looked like he was going to lose again. It really looked like it. But then out of nowhere, torrential rains just kept coming for weeks and weeks. And God was up to something crazy. So as the British are coming down with their cannons, their wheels are getting stuck in mud. And the stories are like their wheels are like halfway stuck down in the mud. The horses can't get them out. The men can't get them out. So what happens is now you have sharpshooters of the Continental Army just firing down and just picking them off, killing them, taking them out. And what the British thought was just going to be an easy trap, take out the Continental Army. In real life and in history, we see they ended up surrendering. The General Washington wins the battle. It was like, wait, what? How do we actually win this? They win the battle, thankfully, because of the mud. The mud is what? The mud with George Washington, really, again, like we could say, that was God. That was God doing something extraordinary in the life of this great country that here we are celebrating 250 years later. But God was doing something wild with just simple mud. Like mud. But here we have the cannons getting stuck, sharpshooters picking them off, and the British surrender. And now what's key as you go look this up, what's really, really pivotal is that the French have been over here like kind of just watching, and if you think of like the guy who's just sitting there scrolling through, video feeds and he's just a stalker, or a woman, not that's a guy, but, people, let's just say people, and they're scrolling, they're just kind of like, yeah. That was the French. The French are just kind of taking notice. The French don't like the British at that time, as you know. We got the 7-year war. They're head to head with the British, and they're just paying attention. And they're like, I wonder if these ragtag group of farmers can get their act together. They can get their act together. We might just jump in. Well, history shows because of the mud, the British surrender their Battle of Saratoga, and the French take notice, and they're like, you know what? We're going to send troops. We're going to send some money. We're going to send an army, and we're going to help them beat the British. All thanks to the mud. Go figure. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Hit subscribe below, but more than that, click the link below, luso.tv. Watch our short film. That's how you can really help us. Together, you and I, together, we can educate 83% of Americans that don't understand why we fought the American Revolution. But I need your help. We need your help. So share it with your friends. Pay it forward. Send it to 1,000 of your friends. Okay, maybe 100, 10 of your friends. Pay it forward. Click the link, luso.tv.